you've lived a nightmare that every parent is terrified of. What I would ask is, what would you say to parents at home? What do parents at home need to know about this? What do teenagers and kids at home need to know about the dangers of fentanyl?
All right, you just saw a clip of that exchange, and this is exactly the kind of hearing that should be getting way more attention than it is. We're talking about a drug that's killing tens of thousands of Americans every single year, and finally you've got lawmakers putting real numbers and real human stories on the table instead of just talking in circles. What stands out to me right away is how Cruz isn't just making this about politics. He's backing it up with hard data, medical testimony, law enforcement numbers, and actual parents who lost their kids. That's hard to argue with. We're going to break down the whole hearing in a second, but first, if you care about border security, fentanyl policy, or just want to see accountability in government, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we're covering more of these hearings as they happen. Let's get into.
I'm going to take over, so if you come over here and sit now, I'd appreciate it. Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, soon to be Madam Chairman. Thank you for hosting this very important debate and this very important hearing. The American people in November issued a clear and unequivocal mandate. The open borders we've had for the last 4 years must be closed. We can no longer allow criminals and cartels and gang members and deadly drugs to stream across our border. And President Trump has been working every day since he was sworn in to keep his promise to secure the border. He declared a national emergency on the southern border. He reinstated the Remain in Mexico policy. And just yesterday, President Trump negotiated that Mexico will station 10,000 troops at the southern border to help stop the flow of fentanyl into the United States. President Trump is doing his part to meet the mandate from the voters. We also in Congress must do our part to meet that mandate. That's why I hope that this committee supports the Halt Fentanyl Act, an act to permanently classify fentanyl-related substances as Schedule I under the Controlled Substances Act. Fentanyl and its analogs are extraordinarily powerful and extraordinarily destructive. Congress and the American people don't talk enough about fentanyl's dangerousness. So I want to talk a little bit about that. Dr. Westlake, you are an emergency room physician. How much fentanyl does it take to kill an adult human being?
Well, this is 2,000, enough to kill 2,000 people. So it's 4 to 5 grains of sand is a lethal dose for an opioid-naive patient.
2 milligrams
Yeah.
is what it takes. If you see on this photograph a penny, we all know the size of a penny, and those couple of flakes there are enough to kill an adult human being. Dr. Westlake, last year, approximately how many people died due to fentanyl overdoses?
I believe it was around 70,000.
This means, on average, 6,250 people died every single month due to fentanyl. And it's a number that tragically has skyrocketed during the Biden-Harris years. Sheriff Barnes, as a law enforcement professional on the front lines of the battle with fentanyl, can I ask you how many pounds of fentanyl were seized by Customs and Border Patrol at the border last year?
Senator, unfortunately, I can't answer that. I can answer for my organization, but I know it was a lot and growing.
It's 2,250 pounds of fentanyl. An astronomical figure. And let's actually, I want to put this into context. This packet of Sweet and Low. This packet, if it were full of fentanyl, could kill 500 people. Now take a look at this container. It's a container we're all familiar with. If this were full of fentanyl, it could kill 368,500 people. That's more than the entire population of Corpus Christi, Texas, or Lubbock, Texas. Now let's look at another packet. Something, again, all of us likely have in our kitchen. This single bag of sugar, if it were filled with fentanyl, could kill 905,000 people. Almost 1 million people. This single bag could take out the entire population of Austin, Texas, the capital of my home state. Now imagine 562 of these bags. That's how much fentanyl came into the United States of America in a single month. And how many lethal doses of fentanyl is in 562 bags? What came in a single month last year? 510 million lethal doses. In 1 month, more fentanyl came into America than it would be needed to kill every single man, woman, and child in the United States. This is a crisis we have to solve. Mr. Puerta, Ms. Noring, thank you both for being here. Thank you for your courage. I will say, as the father of 2 teenage girls, you've lived a nightmare that every parent is terrified of. What I would ask is, what would you say to parents at home? What do parents at home need to know about this? What do teenagers and kids at home need to know about the dangers of fentanyl?
If you don't think this can happen to you, I'm very sorry, but you're very sorely mistaken. This is taking everybody by storm. That's what I would tell every single parent. Due to the stigma of addiction and overdose, though, most people think that this could not affect their family because either they don't have somebody who's addicted to drugs in their family or somebody who's using drugs on a recreational basis. But children make mistakes. I do not condone my son Daniel wanting to self-medicate during the height of the pandemic for his whatever was happening in his head. I do not condone it. He made a mistake, and the price that he paid was his life. Children are supposed to make mistakes but not die from them, period. And that's what's happening every single day, 22 times a week in the United States of America. We have to stop this.
Amen. Ms. Noring?
I echo the same thing. You know, that whole saying, not my kid, take that out of your vocabulary because it could very well be your kid. We had every conversation with our children about addiction because unfortunately on both sides of our family, we have members that suffer from STD. But nobody at the time was talking about this crisis. So I feel robbed of a conversation I could have had with my son that could have saved his life. So take that out of your vocabulary. This very well could happen, and it can very well happen. These dealers are on Snapchat, all platforms, every single one of them. And we've reported them. I know Mr. Porta's reported them, and I shouldn't put a number out there, but majority of the time it comes back as this does not violate our standards. So monitor your children's social media accounts. Have the conversation. It could save your child's life.
Thank you for your courage.
Senator.
Thank you.
Mr. Shift.
Thank you all for being here.
Okay, wow. Let's talk about what we just watched because there's a lot to unpack here, and I think Cruz nailed the framing from the very first sentence. He opens by saying the American people sent a clear mandate in November: secure the border, period. Whether you love or hate the politics around it, you can't deny the logic. You can negotiate trade deals, you can negotiate everything else, but if deadly drugs are walking across an open border unchecked, nothing else matters. That's the foundation his whole argument is built on, and I think it's a strong one. Then he brings in Dr. Westlake, an actual ER physician, and this is where it gets real for me. 2 milligrams. That's it. A few grains of sand can kill a grown adult. When you see that visual with the penny and just a couple flakes of powder sitting on it, that's not abstract anymore. That's terrifying. And then you hear 70,000 deaths in a year, averaging over 6,000 people a month. That's basically a 9/11 worth of deaths happening every few weeks in this country, quietly, while everyone argues about other headlines. Sheriff Barnes' presentation might be the most powerful part of the whole hearing, honestly. The visual demonstrations, a sweetener packet that could kill 500 people, a sugar bag that could wipe out the entire population of Austin. That's not hyperbole. That's seizure data translated into something we can actually picture. And then the kicker: 510 million lethal doses entered the country in a single month. That's more than the entire population of the United States. Sit with that for a second. 1 month. But honestly, the part that hit hardest wasn't the statistics. It was the parents. Mr. Pereira and Ms. Doring didn't come in with talking points. They came in with their kids' names. And that line, "Take not my kid" out of your vocabulary, that's the moment that should stick with every single viewer. This isn't hitting some stereotype. It's hitting families who never thought it could touch them, including kids who made a single mistake during an incredibly hard time and never got a second chance. What I respect about Cruz here is he didn't just let the statistics speak. He built the case methodically, policy first, medical reality second, enforcement data third, then let the human cost close it out. That's why he's pushing the Halt Fentanyl Act to permanently classify these substances as Schedule 1 instead of letting loopholes and analog workarounds keep these drugs flowing. People can debate immigration policy all day, but strip away the politics, and this hearing was about something simple. Kids are dying, dealers are operating openly on platforms like Snapchat, and the current systems aren't stopping it fast enough. Cruz used real evidence, real experts, and real grieving parents to make that case, and I think it deserves to go viral, not get buried. What do you all think? Does this change how you see the fentanyl crisis? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want us to keep covering hearings like this, hit that like button and subscribe. See you in the next one.